What's going on, Spitfires? Welcome back to another episode of the Spitfire Podcast. I'm your host, LeMunyan, the Spitfire Coach, and today we are talking about your financially abundant mindset. We are talking about money, dinero, euros, moolah, cabbage, cheddar, whatever you call it. It's what makes the world go round in our capitalistic society, and it is what a lot of us avoid. And so I'm going to walk you through some prompts today. We're going to dive deep and hopefully help to shift you out of whatever might be preventing you from really attracting in that abundant lifestyle that you deserve because you work really hard. And even if you didn't work hard, you would deserve it anyway. As a reminder, if you are not already subscribed to the Spitfire Podcast, make sure that you go and hit subscribe where you get your podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and you can get it on our website, spitfirecoach.com/episode. I think this is number 227. We have been recording episodes since 2017, so there's a lot there, and a lot of them are like 10 minutes or under, so you could probably knock out our entire catalog in like a day or so. I'm just kidding. You have things to do. The world needs you. So we are diving in today on financial mindset. Are you ready? Make sure you have a notepad, or we will have all of these questions and prompts available to download so that you can take your time and work through it. I did it the other day. It was very powerful. I like to test out all of my worksheets, so I hope that it's useful. Send it to a friend if you think they could use it, and let's get going. So I work with a lot of business owners, small business owners, solopreneurs, growing businesses, ones that have been around for a decade or more. And what I realize is as I am working with them through their CEO mindset, their innovation mindset, is that undoubtedly the money story always kicks in. There's kind of these beliefs that we hold to be true about what we can afford, what we deserve, what it means to have money, what it means to attract money. And there's a lot of differences with culture, with gender, with socioeconomic status, with race, with religion. There's so many underlying belief stories. And so I want to give you some prompts to help you get a little more clarity so that you can see what is true for me, what works for me from my past, and what do I need to shed or let go of or add in and incorporate to kind of build out this future vision for myself. Because what got us here may not get us to where we want to go. And we got to be able to look at that objectively, or else we keep kind of recreating this same issues, this same replicatable pattern, and then wonder why we're not where we want to be. And I did this for myself because I too get stuck in my money story. I am the byproduct of divorced parents at the age of 4. Money always seemed tight. My parents were young when they had my brother and I. And my parents were both consultants for a long time. So I always remember the quarterly tax being this like really scary time of like, am I going to have enough to pay it? And now like in my adult life, I'm like, well, yeah, because you save for that. So I actually use that kind of fear of the quarterly estimated tax payment as something to prepare for and not be able to freak out about later. And I remember paying my taxes. I've been in business for 10 years. And the first year I paid taxes, I was like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. And then when I started making real money, I was like, you know what? This is more than I ever made in corporate that I'm actually paying out in taxes. And that's a really cool feeling. Not paying that much out, but like the fact that I have surpassed what my revenue or what my income was working for a company. I am now paying out, which means I've made a lot more. So super proud of myself for that. Also needed to lower my tax exposure, which is why I became a C Corp or an S Corp. And we got that all figured out. So we're good there. But I wanted to address this because if I had just replicated my parents' money story, I don't think I would be in the position I am. I don't think I would take the risks that I have. I don't think that I would be okay pausing working. I still have it creep up, but I knew that things were starting to bubble up and I wanted to address them. And so I created this list of prompts, and I actually sat down for like half a day and just answered them and took my time with it. And I wanted to share this because hopefully it will help provide more clarity for you and, you know, have these discussions with your partner or with your friends or family members and see what pops up. Okay, so here is question 1. What does financial abundance feel like in my body? What does financial abundance feel like in my body? And I would also say, where do you feel it? So for me, financial abundance is like this opening in my chest. It's just like this lightness. Everything feels like tingly, like everything is taken care of. So some people feel like it's security, but where does security show up in your body? Is it something that's expansive or something that's contracting? So when we think of abundance, where does that show up in your body? And get really specific, because when we can start to feel it, it actually starts to create that future neuro pathway. So we're creating that imprint that we want more of, that we're creating more of that reality in our life. Okay, number 2, how would I show up differently if I fully trusted money to flow to me? So if I knew money was always going to come in, it was always going to be there, how would I show up? Would I second guess myself, or would I fully step out and just know that what I'm doing is on the right track? I don't want to say the right track. That is in a knowing way that I'm doing things that create this abundant mindset and this abundant life for myself. So what are the things that you would change? How would you shift? How would you show up? I think for me, it would be actually like leaving my house more, because I stay at home a lot. I would be going to lots of events in that space. All right, number 3, where do I still hold scarcity beliefs? And where did I learn them? So I kind of gave you my backstory of my parents, but I think they got their money story from their parents. My grandma and my grandfather, they were both depression babies. And my grandmother used to stockpile things in the basement. Like she would have like 20 like toothpaste or toothbrushes or cans of things like all throughout the basement, because she never knew when things were like going to turn bad or when somebody would need something. So she would give away stuff, but she also would just like have things just in case. She was also like the person who reused containers. So like the what the heck was it? The margarine. What was the one? The country crock. What the hell was it? I can't even remember what it was. But you know, the like the tannish brown like plastic things. She would use that as Tupperware. I still have the mini M&M's little canister that she uses for yarn needles. So it was this repurposing. And a lot of that was, you know, use what you have, which is a great lesson. But it also like, there was a lot of fear attached to it of like, we might not have enough. But I think also in that there was a lot of overspending and unnecessary spending, because it was always waiting for something to fail or something to go wrong, or there would be a lack later on. So, she passed away in 2018. And honestly, I don't know if she ever truly enjoyed her life. She was always taking care of people. Wow. I think she was like in her 90s, early 90s. And I don't know if she ever really like got to live, because she was so worried about other people and taking care of other people. God, that's craziness. So yeah, scarcity is a powerful thing. And if you've grown up with uncertainty and scarcity, which people in the Depression absolutely did, they didn't know where they were going to eat. Like I remember her telling us stories of how they would go hunting for rabbits, and that's what they would eat as a family, like in the backyard and stuff in upstate New York. And, people sharing a 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, and she was one of 8 kids. Never faced scarcity like that in my life, but I always remember there was not surplus. I did activities. I played sports. I did travel teams, but it never felt like there was extra. Like I didn't ever feel like I could ask for more than kind of what was laid out and what was presented. And I don't even know how many I am of 1 kid. So I'm the byproduct of multiple marriages here. So like my mom is on marriage 3, my dad's on marriage 2. My dad has 4 kids collectively, and then my mom has us 2, and then her husband has 2 stepkids. So I don't know how many siblings I have by way of that, but there were just a lot of entities needing things, and so I always felt like resources were scarce, and so it actually was a catalyst for my entrepreneurial spirit. Like from the time that I was 12 and started my first business, like I was always looking at how do I make more money? How do I stash away money? How do I always make sure I have a cushion? And I think that will persist. I always make sure that there's enough and more than enough, to the point where I've got like multiple accounts. I finally started merging them, and They're all gaining interest, thankfully. So we're not just stowing them away under the mattress. But yeah, the scarcity beliefs are still there of what my parents experienced and what my grandparents experienced. But I think that because I'm 2 generations removed from it, that the entrepreneurial spirit of like figure it out, of like you can make this happen, actually might work on a more positive side. But if you are still in it, like if you are in poverty, if you have lost your job, if your partner has lost their job, if things have been pulled out from underneath you, there might be a belief that this is always going to happen or this is going to happen again. So it's a matter of just looking at it, of what's in front of you and what beliefs do you have around scarcity. Okay, next question. What would financial freedom look like in my daily life? So every day, if you had financial freedom, and I think, what does financial freedom mean to you? Does it mean being without debt? Does it mean having an emergency fund for like 6 to 12 months? Does it mean having investments? Does it mean, having your car paid off, having your student loan debt paid off? Does it mean being able to get the latte and not have to question it? Does it mean going on vacation? Does it mean being able to donate to causes you care about? So I think first start with, what does financial freedom mean to you? And then what does it look like in your daily life if you fully implemented that? All right, next question. In what ways, and this one was the most powerful one, I spent the most time on this. In what ways am I already wealthy that I often overlook? In what ways am I already wealthy that I often overlook? Now, wealthy can mean financially, but it also can mean your health, your family, your relationships, your environment, the access to things you have, the just opportunities that are around you. And I spent a lot of time just downloading all of this. I first started with like a financial snapshot, but then I looked at like all of the things that we collectively as a family unit have with each other and what we've learned and what we've attracted in. And I'm like, we already are wealthy. Whether we make another dollar or not, we are wealthy. So ways that you might have overlooked it. Next question. Let's see. Where am I undercharging or undervaluing myself? And what would change if I asked for what I'm truly worth? This is really where we start to get into mindset. So where might we be undervaluing ourselves that we could be charging more for? Are we already taking the price tag that we're worth off the table because we think that people wouldn't pay it or we don't deserve it? The thing that happens with this, especially if you're a business owner, is if you charge too low, and I talked about this on last week's show, if you charge too low, people start to perceive your value as lower. And so if you want to charge an amount or more than that, think about, how do you need to show up to truly mirror that value and walk in that truth? Okay, next question. If I stop chasing shoulds, what kind of work would I create or pursue that lights me up and pays me well? That's a big one. If you are working in a should framework in your business or in your career, or maybe you took a break to care for a little one or a family member, or you just needed a break, or maybe it was a non-voluntary break and you got laid off, where might you be chasing some shoulds? And what would it look like if you stepped into wants of things that lit you up? Next question, which relationship or networks could you nurture right now that might unlock new income streams or opportunities? This is a big one. You probably have people all around you, networks all around you that, even though people have been impacted by the changes, political sphere and economic sphere, there are still opportunities around. So who might be right under your nose, or what network might be right around you that you could tap into? Like, what value could you share out? And where might there be some new income streams there? Next question. How would your business or career shift if you focus less on security and more on expansion? And this is a big one because a lot of people see money as security. It's safety. When I have money, I feel more secure. I feel more safe. And I wonder if you shifted that lens into what does expansive mean? What does more open and abundant mean? And how would that move things along for you? How would that change things in the way that you showed up and what you did? I did a lot of deep dive on this in how I was thinking about myself and my business during the day. I realized that I was doing a lot of small micro moves instead of bigger picture, bigger impact, more deep thinking. Like I wasn't giving myself permission to really deep dive into that. So this is one to really spend some time with, of like, how would it change what you do on a daily basis, or how you would plan your day out, or you plan your weeks or months out, if you were in a more expansive lens versus that daily security, like kind of that very binary task oriented space. All right, next question. What bold conversation about money, raises, or rates have I been avoiding? So I actually addressed this yesterday and I decided to fire my financial advisor. That was my takeaway from this, because I had been wanting to, but I was avoiding it because I was like, I'm going to hurt their feelings. They're going to be mad at me. Like, I literally was concerned about people who do this for a profession. I'm like, I don't really want someone else to manage my money. I can do it myself. I've been doing it myself for years. So I just decided, like, just send the email. And I had a little help from ChatGPT because I was like, I want to be friendly but professional, but also not give them any wiggle room to try to convince me or negotiate me to stay, because I don't want to. So if you need to use some help with the AIs, that's fine. Go get some support. But what are the things what is a conversation that you might be avoiding? This might be with a family member or partner. This might be with a boss. This might be with a client. But think about a conversation around money that you might have been avoiding. And what do you need in order to move forward in having it? All right, next question. What's the most radical, abundant financial vision that you can imagine for yourself? Radically abundant. Like, no rules, no small. Like, I always say to my clients, if it doesn't make you want to throw up a little bit, it's not big enough. So they're like, Lauren, I'm getting queasy. I'm like, great, we're right there. So this is for you to just fully take off the rule book, fully take off any of those constraints and guardrails. Let your imagination soar. And this is where vision boards come in, and they're really helpful to give you some prompts and areas to think about. All right, next question. How would I invest, spend, or save if I trusted money to keep coming in? And this is where we start playing big, because speaking for myself, I used to be really worried about paying bills and finances, so I would stash away money into multiple accounts, my little squirrel away accounts. But what I was doing is I wasn't investing. None of that was making interest. And so I had like $500 here, $2,000 there, $10,000 there, and none of it was making any money. And so in my like logic of I'm saving money so I won't touch it, so I can pay my bills, I was actually taking money away from myself by not getting the dividends paid off of it if I had it in stocks or in a high yielding interest account. So if you're a squirrely person, a squirrel awayer, this is your chance to get honest with yourself about how much you invest it differently or spend it in a way that works for you. If you weren't connected to the kind of scarcity, if you trusted yourself that it would come in more. All right, next question. If money were easy, how would I behave today? And the other question is, how do you view money? Like, if you had one word to connect to money, like money is blank. If it were the opposite of it, if it's not working for you, if money is easy, good for you. I'm really happy for you. But if money feels hard, if it feels like it's running out, if it feels like it comes and it goes, what would the opposite of that look like? And then how would it change the way that you show up and behave? All right, next question. What future financial win am I ready to claim right now? And what's one small step I can take toward it? So one of my financial wins, I want to get back into doing more leadership cohorts for mid-level managers. And I have been a little like hesitant to do it because one of my money stories is, in order to close a big contract or to do the work that I used to do, it's going to take away from family life. It's going to, impact my relationship with my daughter. It's going to be stressful. And the reality behind it is the bigger the contract that I sign, the more people I bring in to support it. And I change my role where I'm not so much the executor. I'm not doing all of the daily work, but I'm overseeing the bigger project. And I'm doing a piece of it, but I'm not doing all of it. And I think that's an old story of if I want it done right, I have to do it all. And so this is kind of that CEO mindset shift of what is my most effective role in this? Where can I allow that zone of genius to shine? And where can I also bring in other people in their zones of genius to support the impact that we're going to have? All right, next question. What financial habits or patterns no longer serve me, and what do I want to replace them with? So one of the habits, financial habits or patterns that I have, I'm real cheap. I am so stingy. I am working on it. I love a good deal. Like me and ThreadUp are besties, but I don't just buy one thing. I buy like 20 things. And I'm like, look how much I saved. And I think if I just bought what I wanted to, like something that really brings joy into my life versus like chasing the deal and feeling like I've saved money or that I had like high value, I probably wouldn't have to clean out my closet as much. I wouldn't have so much stuff. And I probably wouldn't spend as much either. I've gotten better at it because I've recently discovered like a couple of designers that I absolutely love that very rarely come online on ThreadUp, but when I snag it, it's like, yes. So I have to stop chasing the free shipping little targets, that line to cross, because I spend right up into it just so I can save like $7.99. I'm one of those people. I love a good deal. I can't help it. But I do have some amazing little finds in my closet now that I'm very excited to wear out in public if I ever leave my house. I'm working on it. All right. Whose money stories am I carrying that aren't mine to hold anymore? This is a big one. I mentioned it at the start of the podcast about my kind of generational money story. And I think my mom, I probably am still carrying some of her stories, but my dad too. So I lived with my dad until I was 12. And then my mom, I was living with her until I was 17 and I went to college. And then she got divorced when I was in my sophomore year. And basically the entire financial security just dropped out. And then I started finding out like things were leased that I thought were purchased. So my car was gone overnight. I had to change colleges, which ended up being a great thing because I should have gone to Rutgers from the start. It's all good. But kind of this, we were spending beyond our means, and then the security ran out, like the marriage broke up, and then it was like trying to figure it out. But it was always like in me of like to not depend on a man to make up my financial gap. And it probably catapulted me into a whole different way of like not wanting to share finances, but actually I ended up compensating for a lot of relationships, ex-husband and ex-boyfriend, of where I either was working to build them up financially or actually giving them money. I paid off a lot of debt of my ex-husbands. And I always like to say I have a master's in life. I don't have a master's degree, but I have a master's in life in the amount that I spent on a man. So yeah, I don't know if I'm still holding those stories. I think it's probably like the flip side of it. But there's definitely like some still tingy stuff about what to charge. I'm really good at telling my clients to charge more. And then I find myself like, well, I just want to kind of accommodate and make it work, especially for, small business owners. And here's my lower rate. Now it's still more than I charged when I was getting started and things. But if I truly was wanting to work in corporate and have that organizational transformation space, then I probably would not be doing individual client work. But it is a guilty pleasure of mine to really help people in that space. So we're probably gonna have to do more work on that stuff. All right. If I weren't afraid of judgment, how would I talk about money or success? That's a big one. Some people got a lot of stuff around this about I don't talk about money. I talk about money all the time. I have no problem telling people that I used to put my rent on credit cards my first year of business, that I only brought in $13,000, that the next year I only brought in $30,000 living in Washington, D.C., then the following year, $45,000. I was real proud that I did it. But I think in being honest about where you are, it allows you to kind of just get over it. You know, it's still always going to be a part of my life, but I don't have any shame attached to it because I was building a business. I was getting started. Did I make the best decisions? No, but I did the best that I could with what I had and what I knew. And while I was in it, it was really hard. I didn't tell any of my friends I was in that space because I didn't want them to think less of me. I didn't want them to take pity on me. So I think there's strength in honesty, but I think there's also strength in like the distance and the space and the time that you've had to process it and how you want to present it. I don't recommend doing the whole drama dumping of like, woe is me, here's all my garbage and please fix me. Because we gotta do that ourselves. We gotta fix ourselves. But I think there is a way to present it of saying, you know what, I would really love more business. I would really love to work with this type of client. I would really love to do this type of work so that we can give people a way to specifically help us. We don't want them to feel like they have to take us on as a project, but people do best when they have specific low lift things they can do for us and vice versa. All right. Here is a big one. How have I been subconsciously sabotaging financial growth? How have you been subconsciously sabotaging financial growth? Mine comes in the form of streaming television. So either YouTube or Bravo or Netflix. I actually canceled our Apple TV and our Peacock subscription because I realized how much time I was distracting myself from actually doing work that generates money. I was like, oh, I have to catch up on what they're doing in Miami or what they're doing in Beverly Hills. It's not even live now. I think we're on Orange County. But anyway, it canceled over the weekend. And I don't really miss it because it's really manufactured and it's garbage. But I was self-sabotaging because I was doing the autopilot, like just eating up the time in the day versus doing the work that actually creates more revenue. All right. Let's see. Next question. All right, here's the last question. What story do I tell myself about my earning ceiling and how true is that? So what do you think your current earning ceiling is? How much money do you think you can make? And how true is that? All right, so those are the questions. Those are the prompts. We're going to have this in a downloadable prompt form for you. I would take some time with it. I think it probably took me 4 or 5 hours to move through all these questions to really like get to the heart of it. I'm going to put some extra questions in there too, so you can select the ones that speak to you, and maybe start with one a day. Maybe do like a 30-day challenge where you address your money mindset. Or you can bring this up like at dinner or things like that and talk about kind of your money story and what you want to create together, with yourself and your cat, or with your partner, or your plants. They're very good listeners. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions about mindset, about financial abundance, let me know. Hit me up, Lauren at Spitfire Coach. And y'all keep being awesome.